know, so that only gives you a couple of weeks, you know, so you're planning ahead. I didn't really think, and I don't think she did, that they were going to come in as well as they did. You know, we were really surprised, but she told me a lot of the banks are sending, a lot of the mortgage companies are sending in for taxes to at least get the taxes off their books for foreclosures and that kind of thing. So I can't guarantee how long that's going to last either.
Well, I can tell you that banks are actually collecting tax money ahead of time and paying the county. Personally, I know that's what's happening.
Oh yeah, I do too.
So yeah, I mean, that's another story.
There's a lot of property that's in foreclosure, and she's been getting a lot of lists from the mortgage companies to at least get those taken care of, that kind of thing. So I was really rather surprised when we finally got to the end of June and saw how well that the taxes have done, because I really wasn't expecting. I mean, the economy keeps saying that, you know, it's down. Other indicators of the economy are down. So, you know, historically, you know, if you're going to buy groceries or pay taxes, you're going to buy groceries before you pay taxes. But the tax revenues are actually coming in better than I had anticipated.
Okay. Let me say, just for me, what I asked Mrs. Hatcher, so the rest of the board will know, is once I got this sheet, I think I was looking at it this weekend, and Monday I said, this is great, but can you just give me, by department, what the over or under expenditure was, so I could kind of get a hand on each department. Like Major Mosier said he gave back 100 and some thousand, and I wanted to match that number up. So that's the kind of number that I want from you. And maybe the other number we want is, we've got the whole budget. Maybe we need a spreadsheet or something that puts the budget in and keeps track of what the unencumbered balance is, or theoretically what we think it's going to be, because we voted today to do two or three things that are going to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, you took away all my fund balance.
Well, I mean, we didn't take yours away. We're probably going to finance his cars. We're probably going to finance the fire truck or whatever we're getting for Chief Lehman, the ambulance. So we need to know fund balance, so maybe we could pay one of those cash, or maybe we could put some of that fund balance into debt retirement. And that's, I don't know if that's what the rest of the board needs to know. That's another, but that's what I need to know.
I just, Mr. Chairman, I just think we need to be careful, and I know the statement was made about being shocked about what we have. I'm not shocked, to be honest with you. There are those that will run around the county and talk about how poorly run the county is and how poorly managed the county is financially, and how much we don't know how to take care of funds. I'm not shocked. I'm pleasantly surprised.
That was the word.
That we have been able to do as we have in the past, managed the county wisely, and we've done a good job in being able to build a fund balance, if you will. And so I'm not shocked, but I am pleasantly surprised about that process. But I don't think we need to jump to too quickly and talk in terms of, well, let's not just spend on what we want to spend on, because we have this $2 million. I can assure you, and I think Fran will tell you, we do not have $2.3 million sitting in the bank that we can use. And it may be better in the future, Fran, that if you provide the board with a report that shows the cash basis, as Beth does, show the cash basis as to what we have, so everybody can see what's out there, and what we can and cannot spend. But again, we have spent about $189,000 tonight, somewhere thereabouts. But I would hope that we would not go financing. I would hope that we would pay for that out of the fund balance for this current year. And hopefully we'll be able to build a fund balance next year, that we will continue to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, whereas we can build that fund balance and not dip into it anymore. But again, I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, did we make some tough choices? Absolutely, we made some tough choices this year. But those tough choices is not necessarily reflected in what we have looked at tonight from what Fran has given us. Those tough choices will be effective July 1 for the most part. Now, certainly the people that we had to let go, that was about a month or so that, well, June 30th or June 1st, which it was.
We paid for the entire month of June.
We went through the entire month of June. So nothing has that we have done is reflected in this budget that we have at this point. So let's just be careful about, saying that we have all this money out there, because I think you'll find that we do not have the $2.3 million. I will say this, I am confident that we are in better shape today than we were 12 months ago, financially. And so we need to be proud of that fact and move forward with that. And I think that if we can do some things to help, to go back and help the employees, I'm all for that. I am all for that. I really am.
So can we get some sort of cash basis report and what we expect the unencumbered balance to be report kind of right now? And maybe that's a rolling number, Mr. Ashcraft, because it's, right now, it's the cash, or the unencumbered balance is
And the cash.
500,000. I'm just picking a number out of the air.
You're probably right.
But
It's
it's-
about where it is.
It's supposed to be 500,000 for this budget year, for the 2011 budget year.
Right.
But we theoretically did better, well, not theoretically, we actually did better last year with revenue, did better not spending as much, so there should be more than that 500,000, right?
No, we started this
Based
budget,
on what she just said.
we started this budget year with no fund balance.
That's correct.
So what you,
We started with actually a negative fund balance.
so what you are able to gather from her information this evening has given you a fund balance of approximately
Of
$500,000.
$500,000.
Yes.
Okay.
We started out the year at a 1.4 in the hole.
Yeah, once we considered all the things we had, schools and everything too.
Well, the fund balance is, as bean counters account for fund balance, is basically the difference between your assets and your liabilities. You've got a huge receivable that is, if you back that out, which is what gives you your negative fund balance.
Right.
On paper, and of course all your bond rating agencies, your credit agencies, they all can see that. I mean, it's clearly shown in the audit report, and they can see you've got this $5 million debt between the two funds. So they back that out. They come up with the same thing that I do, a negative fund balance, 1.4 million. You're now up to about 300,000. So you've crossed over the line, but you're not out of the woods.
Right.
Our budget for next year has accounted for a lot of the windfalls that we have found for this year that we weren't going to be aware of, such as the public service taxes. So all those funds have already been accounted for in next year's budget. So you've got a tightrope budget for fiscal year 11, and depending on what the economy does and which economists you listen to, some of them would say we're turning the corner and things are moving up. Others are saying we're going to go back into another double-digit recession before we come out of it. So it's anybody's guess. I mean, we're going to be having to really watch and follow the line and hope that the revenues come in like they are. Meals taxes, I mean, they're dedicated to your debt service.
Right.
They were above budget. Who would have thought in this economy that meals taxes, which is
More people eat out now.
more people eating out, but you think of people who can't afford to eat out, where's all that money coming from? At the same time, your transient occupancy tax is down. Your business licenses are down, which is a sign of the economy. Now, the building permits for the fourth quarter were slightly up compared to what they were last year for the fourth quarter, but for the entire year, they're way down. The only thing that's moving or permits that are going on are over in Ladysmith. So, I mean,
Well, not all of them are in Ladysmith.
most of them right now.
There's a couple in the Mattapani district.
You're right. That's right. I know one. I know
There's
one
a
big one.
couple, okay? They're not all in Ladysmith.
But I
All
mean,
right.
we're just starting to see that, but it's very isolated.
Okay.
And we're also into the reassessment right now, so we don't know what that's going to do. I mean,
Okay.
they're already saying that's going to be lower.
My last request is Mr. Simmons is sitting right behind you, eagerly awaiting to write an article to tell about the county fund balance. Would you please,
You already nailed me early today.
I was there. Would you please, though, help him make sure we understand it's really only $300,000 or $400,000, not $2 million?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other
I have-
question.
Mr. Chair,
And it has to do with the school. The way I read this report, the schools overspent their budget.
That's correct.
How is that handled?
I don't see how you see that.
It's $25,000, I believe, overspent.
But the numbers say 37 and 36.9.
Let's see, where did I see the school fund balance at? Where's that at, Mrs. Hatcher? I saw it in here somewhere.
See, their revenue,
Right.
37.
School fund expenditures are slightly lower than last year. Overall expenditures are up 94%.
If you take the-
Operating revenues.
If you take the operating revenues and the operating expenditures, they overspent,
which is the same thing I did with the county,
yes.
25,
same numbers.
right, 25,000, a little over dollars. Now, this is after they paid salaries in advance,
That's correct.
and that was at a tune of 200.
The amount is, that is the amount that they paid in advance.
I'm sorry?
That is the amount they paid in advance, the 24,000.
24,000?
It was the retirement.
No, they paid teachers' salaries, did they not?
They accounted for that. What they didn't account for is what they had paid for the retirees at the first part of the month and hadn't accounted for it, which made them go over.
My question is, did they pay salaries in advance? Did they pay teachers at the tune of $200,000?
I know they did in advance payroll, yes, sir. But on the
just have a-
accrual basis,
I understand
we
that it was
would have had, we
I
would have
understand.
recorded that as an expense anyway.
two
Oh,
under
he's
eight.
looking for the spreadsheet.
It was 2 under 8, page 2.
Okay.
But we would have been, I understand, but the cash we would have had in the bank.
Yes, sir.
What was your question, Jeff?
No, we're back, I'm back to the accrual and cash thing again, because, you know, to me, if you spend it after June 30, you're in next year's budget. If you spend it before June 30, you're in your last year's budget. So when you start writing checks July 7th or 8th, that's next year's budget you're writing against. And I guess that's where we're splitting hairs that,
It depends, Mr. Seeley, it depends on what the auditors say it is, because,
right,
you know, they may require, like, if you purchase something like a car or something in June and don't pay for it till July, it's still considered,
June,
Right.
because you received
Yeah.
the goods in June.
yes,
they were
ma'am.
making July payroll in, or June, or July payroll in July out of the 2009, 2010 budget, which just sort of,
It's hokey.
right, very hokey.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get a chance to make it all the way through?
Not really, but pretty much everything, a lot of what we've talked about has kind of come up already, so I don't see
Right,
where I
it
need
did
to
come
go
up-
through it
A
again.
lot of it did come up. Enough explanation. And I think it's very important that, the first time that this board saw these fourth quarter numbers were Friday. So we're just learning about, these actual numbers, each one of us. It's not like we've known about this for, 6, 8 months. I mean, this is,
No,
I think
I
all of
agree.
us got this stuff Friday, right?
Right.
And, that's when it was made aware to us as well. So we do appreciate your report. And like Mr. Akers and others, I say I'm pleasantly surprised as well. So that's a good problem, I guess. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay,
I was waiting for the motion.
you have a, county administrator has provided his updates to us. We got an addendum on that as well. Mr. Ashcraft, anything significant? And Ben, do you have anything else for us? Do not need it?
You don't have a motion for closing?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would add is that contained within my report are two attachments. One is the customer service plan. I would ask that the board look at that, and that is going to be our roadmap to serving the public. It's been updated by a committee of employees who I think did a real good job. Mr. Whiteman was the chair of that committee. If you have any...
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman, of Mr. Ashcraft, on the customer service plan?
You can.
I'm not sure what the direction that you provided. And I don't want to sound critical. But as I look through this, it's more of a fuzzy, warm feeling. Is it really there, what we're doing is going to really improve customer service? My thoughts improving customer service is finding ways to be have less hassle to the average homeowner or the average citizen when they're coming to county offices for building permits or for those type of things. Not as to how we answer the telephone or how you answer the telephone or how you, I don't know, there's some things in here about emailing and I think comes along with customer service. But to me, the core of customer service is how we take the hassle out of dealing with us as county government, out of the average citizen's life, and how we can help them better. And I didn't see that in here at all. I just saw it dealing with, again, telephones, how we address people that came in, and those are important issues, and I think that it needed to be in here. But I would have liked to have seen more about how we can take hassle out of people's lives.
If I may address it? Chairman,
Absolutely. Let me see.
Mr. Akers, on the committee, and actually we took the old customer service report, and it was numerous pages, and the committee, we all got together and we talked about what the usual complaints were, what we heard most in all the departments. And lo and behold, what we put in the policy there was a majority of the complaints when you talk about answering the telephone and how we treat them and where we sent them. That was a majority of the complaints was they would call, nobody could help them. Here, let me send you to so-and-so. Then they would get cut off, or so-and-so would answer the phone and say, well, I can't help you, and send you to somebody else. So the committee and I, we sat around and said, how do we solve that to then neutralize these complaints? And also because of today's electronic communications as far as emails and what the protocol is for returning those emails, and then to further go on with Percy's guidance, not to hide behind emails, because the personal interaction, and we hear that all over today as far as banks, when you call and get voicemails, people want to talk to people and they get a warm, comfortable when they can communicate that. So that's really the direction we went, and we felt the same thing in the old customer service policy. There was a lot of nice feel-good, hey, this is what we do and how we keep our offices. So we streamlined it, and we thought what we came up with there was really addressing the citizens' concerns.
Yeah. And I guess that, maybe you as a staff don't get the concerns and the complaints from the people when they call over, and you're not the planning department or the building area is not able to help them. We as a board members are the ones that get those complaints. And again, I think that's where customer service comes into play. I believe, again, I have no problems with what the committee has done, and it is certainly the way we should operate in an office atmosphere. But I believe customer service includes more than that. I believe customer service includes how we provide information to people. Again, I've been preaching this for the last 15 years, and Mike Fincham knows it, is the fact that, and I thought we had something together for that, but the most of the complaints I get is the fact that, and it has to do with the planning and the building area, is the fact that nobody can tell me what I need to do from A to Z, from the beginning to the completion. That people will tell me one thing when I go in, and I get started, and they say, oh, no, we have to change that. That's not what we meant, or that's not what we said. That's the biggest complaint I get. And I'm not sure with the rest of the board members. But I get that more than I do for somebody calling and says, I don't appreciate the way people answer the phone over there. Or I don't like the idea they didn't send me an email back within 15 minutes of the time I sent my original email. It had more to do with providing information to them and letting them know what they needed to do in the very beginning throughout their process. And I still get that complaint today.
And Mr. Akers, I would ask if you get that complaint, that you refer them to me.
And I do a lot.
And then I can answer
But why should we have to do that?
We
if
have
you,
plenty.
If you know it in advance.
We have spent an inordinate amount of staff time trying to prepare written guidance that's available at the counter and online to help people through the process. There are some processes. I mean, for example, we've developed a deck permit package which explains to the citizen if they want to build their own decks how to do that. We've got written materials on the Chesapeake Bay, how to comply with that. We have developed a lot of written materials to try to address as many of those issues as we can. But for example, when you have a rezoning application, things change. The process is there, and it may be, we can explain the process, but issues that come up during the planning commission discussions, board discussions, et cetera, some of those things we can't give an A to Z answer as to what's going to start at the beginning and the end. And I guess my request would be, if you get a complaint, refer them to me. I'll be more than happy to find out where the breakdown was and correct that and get the information back to you. And you've been good about explaining that to me and putting,
Right.
me in touch with those people.
And I understand what Mr. Fincham is saying, and I agree that there's some cases that it is not black and white. It is a gray area there. But I think we need to make this information available, and I'm assuming it's available online.
Sir.
We could certainly put it in the various offices of the homeowner associations like Lake Landau, Lake Caroline, Belmont, Ladysmith Village, Pendleton, those particular places. Make it available for the citizens to be able to go in and let it be known that it's there. And they can go in and pick up those packets, and they can review them and decide, and then they can make the phone calls and give the names of people that they can call on the particular issues. And I'm sure it's in your packet that if they have a building official problem, they call Kevin. If they have some other problem, they call David Nunley. I mean, but to me, that's customer service. That's good customer service. Thank you. That's
All right.
That's my.
Mr. Akers, you're correct. I mean, how-to type of information is something that we've tried to increase the productivity on, and also the streamlining of the phone system, which I think the new phone number has really helped a great deal. We've not seen or heard hardly any complaints from people having to get from one department to another since we implemented the new customer service line. So that was one of the board's goals, Mr. Thomas's specifically, and it's worked out pretty well. But customer service.
My question is, are we going to do something along the lines that we've talked about? I've just talked about as far as making this information available. If it is available, which
Yes, sir.
Mike Fincham has said it is available.
Yes, sir.
Why not make it readily available for the people that are going to be using it?
That's one thing we can do a better job of is getting it to the public. I think we have information. It's just getting it to them. We can do a better job.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other item within the report is the building permit report that planning has provided to you. It's a 5-year report that just ended June the 30th. And if you look at the two main areas, residential construction and commercial construction, there was only one permit difference from this year to last year. And it's and for us to remain steady in a very viable volatile economy, I think that sustains us. And of course, the number of new housing hookups that we were able to receive, which was 79, and we received payment on a good batch of payment on those just today, didn't we, Fran? So going back to your previous discussion, that will go back to the budget year in which we will eventually close. So that will just increase the cash that's available. So that's a positive sign for us going into this new budget year. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ashcraft. And the next thing we have is closing board comments.
I have some closing word comments.
Mr. Popowitz?
I wanted to go back to this document for just a moment, if I could, please. Mr. Whiteman, one part of this document that I wanted to point out that I really liked was the cross-training of employees. How do you propose to do that?
Well, in the Planning and Community Development Department, what we tend to do is we get general information. So if somebody does have a question, we don't have to say, oh, wait a minute, that's somebody else's call. We give them general information and guidance and then get them in contact with the person that does have the background. That was one of the complaints we received. Every time I called up there, I talk to somebody, they don't know what I need. So we meet by departments, the zoning and the E&S folks, and then of course the building department weekly, and then we have a big department meeting. We discuss everyone that has a general knowledge of what we're doing, so then we can at least get people in the right direction, give them a ballpark of what they need, but then still put them in contact with the subject matter expert. That's how we do it in planning.
Okay. If I may make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
As a manager myself, you may want to conduct mini training sessions with your head people, with some of the other subordinates of other departments. In that same vein, instead of just having meetings, have a training session, mini training session, maybe 10, 15 minutes on an outline safety TNS, on some of the information that might be most prevalent.
Ms. Popowitz, one thing we did do this past 12 months, and we hope to continue it after the summer vacation, is that we brought two departments together continually through the year to where they actually shared what they do with each other.
I see.
You know, we have many departments who the employees wouldn't have any idea what another department does. So by virtue of those briefings and those meetings, I believe it became apparent that all of us needed to be ambassadors for the county. And even though you're not an expert in the field of somebody else's department, you generally have knowledge to where you can talk to citizens and be able to address questions that aren't allowed to fester. And from all the feedback that I received from the department heads, those were probably some of the most positive meetings that we had all year, since we don't have any, significant training budgets available and will not going into this budget year. Internal training is what we're having to do a lot of, and sometimes it's just something as simple as learning more about yourself. And that's worked out well for us, and I think we will continue to do what you just suggested internally with each department, but I think the cross-training of the employees carries over to just having a general knowledge of what the county is doing on a daily basis,
Well,
and what you take up at regular meetings. I think there's not always a thorough understanding of that as well.
Well, I think, and I'll make one more comment, I think the economic development, or economic planning team did a lot of that for our department, had started in that direction. I'd like that to continue. Of course, I haven't had the time to chair that as often as I like, but anyway, going back to the cross-training, Kevin, I thought that was a wonderful idea, and I think that you need to do more of that.
And to follow on what Percy said, I've taken my inspectors over to Parks and Rec, Utilities, and Fire and Rescue, and it's really because we sit and we go, hey, what are them guys doing? kind of banter back and forth. They don't do much, but when you actually sit down with them, it's pretty enlightening what they do.
Thanks,
They
Kevin.
probably said the same thing with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me.
Absolutely, Ms. Popovich. Mr. Akers, any closing comments? Mr.
No, sir,
Seeley?
I have none. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Seeley?
No, sir.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't. Thank you, Mr. Whiteman, for your honesty right then. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Vice Chairman, I think you have, is there anything else? You
I
have
have
something
the,
in your hand to?
Motion for closed meeting. Mr. Chairman, I would move that the board convene in closed meeting pursuant to the personnel exemption of Section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia to discuss personnel matters, and the prospective business exemption of Section 2.23711A5 of the Code of Virginia to provide information to the board on type and potential expansion of a business in the county about which no previous public announcement has been made. That's my motion, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Akers, second.
All right, motion made and properly second. All those in favor of going to closed meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say. We'll now be in closed meeting. Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Now we need to certify that all we did in closed meeting was talk about things that we went under closed meeting for. Mr. Popovich, do you certify?
I so certify.
Mr. Akers, do you certify?
I so certify.
Mr. Seeley, do you certify?
Yes, sir, I so certify.
Mr. Vice Chairman, do you certify?
I so certify.
And I so certify as well. Mr. Vice Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we authorize staff to enter into an agreement with the county attorney in the amount not to exceed $18,000 per month. Retainer.
Second.
Okay, motion made and probably second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same. Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn?
Is in order.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made and probably second that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same.
All right, thank
Meeting
you. Thank you very
adjourned.
much. Thank you.